Ken Trahan with Lenny Vangilder for SportsNola.com. It's our first NBC Bank weekend recap, and of course everything dwarfed by the news of the Saints and Bounty Gate, along with Drew Brees being tagged. And Lenny, this was not a good weekend for the Saints.
No, by the way, we're like 39 years removed from what happened in Washington, D.C. Why does everything have to be something gate? I'm over that, okay? Whatever this is. But, I mean, it's a very unfortunate story, and I think you hit it very well yesterday at SportsNola.com. This really, the Saints have been a feel-good story for so long post-Katrina, with the success right away under Sean Payton, winning the Super Bowl, everything else. How much does this taint everything that has happened and all of the good feelings towards New Orleans over the last 6 years that this franchise has brought? That's what remains to be seen. What is the legacy of all of this going to be? Not to mention, what kind of competitive disadvantage is going to result from this? I mean, you think about this. I mean, here everybody's talking about, can the Saints get to a Super Bowl and play in their home stadium? Look at what's happened to the last two teams who everybody thought had a chance to play in a Super Bowl in their hometown. The Cowboys a couple of years ago, they get off to a horrible start. Tony Romo is out for the year. Everybody was thinking, okay, maybe the Colts last year. Peyton Manning never sees the field. Now the Saints have the Super Bowl coming to their home stadium. Now is this the Saints version of the Super Bowl hosting jinx? I don't know. A lot of it remains to be seen.
And ultimately, this isn't about he said, she said. It isn't about whistleblowers. It isn't about rules. It's about the fact that there's right and there's wrong. And if you break rules, you're going to be disciplined. And it's as simple as that. And the Saints are going to be disciplined, and apparently quite stringently, by the NFL. And that's no surprise, Lenny, with the way that Roger Goodell has ruled.
Well, it's a couple of things. It's player safety. If you're trying to take players out of a game, so much of the things that the NFL has done in the last couple of years has been revolved around player safety, and that is a lot of what this is going to be about. Did the Saints give themselves a competitive advantage by doing this? I totally disagree with that notion. I think what the Patriots did a few years ago with the Spygate, there's that gate thing again, that was more of a competitive advantage situation. This, I don't see it. People will say that was the case. I don't see it. You're just trying to play the game. So, and there's I don't see any financial incentive situation here. I don't think that has anything to do with it, considering the amount of dollars that were supposedly in play here as opposed to the amount of dollars these guys make on an annual basis.
With the Patriots, it was a patent attempt at cheating, and I do think that's more serious, but this is going to be looked at perhaps more seriously through the eyes of the NFL prism. Of course, there were other things going on this past weekend. I mentioned Drew Brees and the tag, and to me that's also unfortunate. Now, hopefully they can get a new deal worked out before the regular season starts.
Yeah, but the thing is, by putting the tag on Drew and that you can't get this done, now you can't use the tag on someone else. So 8 days from now, when free agency starts, a week from Tuesday, now potentially you're looking at, you have Brees at least locked up for a year, depending on whether you can get a long-term deal done by mid-July, but then Colston's on the market, Carl Nix is on the market, Tracy Porter's on the market, so many other guys that are out there that you've got to deal with. But obviously, this has to start and end with number 9. You've got to get him, and locking him up at least for another year, is a start. It's not the way you wanted to do it, but it's a start.
Yes, based on what transpired, it would be considered much more difficult to keep Colston and Nix as well moving forward. Baseball this past weekend, LSU swept Dartmouth, back on track. Tulane won 2 out of 3 from Alabama, so good showings on both ends.
And we count down to Tuesday night, Turchin, a couple of 10-2 teams facing off. LSU obviously will remain in the polls this week. A lot of people are saying, well, hasn't Tulane done enough to be in the top 25? No, not quite yet. A win tomorrow, Tuesday night, and then a good showing at Wichita State this coming weekend. Maybe by next Monday we're talking about Tulane being in the top 25.
College basketball, not much to report locally. Tulane down, LSU, bad finish. They will be in the SEC tournament in New Orleans this coming weekend. And, of course, when you look at professional basketball, the Hornets embark on a 4-game road trip largely because of the SEC tournament.
Got to get out of the way. It's the great thing about having the good and the bad of having a destination town like New Orleans. You get events like the SEC tournament, but your main tenant, the Hornets, have to go out of town on a West Coast trip for a week to get out of the way. Same thing will happen come Final Four time. They'll get out of the way, even though, of course, the Final Four is being played in the Superdome.
And finally, prep basketball. State championships are set. John Curtis boys and girls are both playing for state championships. Riverside boys playing John Curtis for the boys state championship. St. Augustine playing for the boys state championship in 4A. And Salmon also alive in the girls state championship game in 4A. So some good local representation. That's the good news. The bad news is it's in Ruston.
Yeah, it's a long way away. You know, two local teams. What could Curtis and Riverside playing locally for a state championship have drawn if it was being played, heck, let's say at Lakefront Arena or whatever? You know, if it was being played somewhere here, Baton Rouge, whatever the case may be, what kind of crowd would that have drawn? I don't know what it's going to draw in Ruston.
Yeah, not a slight to Ruston at all. And the Thomas Assembly Center is a fine facility, and we look forward to being there with full coverage this weekend. We'll have full coverage of the SEC tournament as well. And, of course, we remind you to watch Sports NOLA TV Monday night, 6 p.m. on WHNO Channel 20. We know you will enjoy it. Lenny, is always a pleasure.
Yeah, hey, it's a full night of sports on WHNO Monday night, Sports NOLA TV. We'll break, come back 8 o'clock. It's the first NBC Bank Prep Baseball Showcase. Jesuit Shaw, tape delayed broadcast. A terrific game. You won't want to miss that either.
Yeah, won't want to give you the outcome. Extra innings. Tune in. You'll enjoy it. All right, Lenny, thanks.
Thanks. See you Friday.
All right, this has been the first NBC Weekend Recap. For First NBC Bank and for Lenny Vangilder, I'm Ken Trahan.